let's talk transfer portal. And this spring transfer portal has the potential to be the biggest transfer portal window in the spring that we ever seen, man. Spring, I'm talking about only spring right now, man. And the main thing about this spring transfer portal that we've seen in the past is usually not high level players. The fall transfer portal after the actual season, that's when we usually see the best players, the high level players. But even this past season, the fall transfer portal window was not as good as far as the top level talent as the previous years. And for example, you look on here on on3recruiting.com, and the rankings is not everything, but here you can see all the transfer portal rankings for the past couple years. So you look at this past season, and you got Caleb Downs, Walter Nolan, Julian Saden. I feel like Saden don't really count because he really was a high school guy. But point is, you have some high level, you have some 5 stars. You know, 5-star transfers, it's very different from a high school 5-star, man. A 5-star transfer, they believe you're going to get drafted in the first round. And, you know, same thing with a high school, a 5-star out of high school, but it's different when you come out the transfer portal and make it as a 5-star. You actually proved yourself. You also got like guys like Cam Ward, Isaiah Bond, like it's some very good transfers. Dante Moore, Will Howard, you got the national champion quarterback that led his team. You look at this past transfer portal window, and like I said, this is for the fall. Your only 5-star transfer is Carson Beck, and he went in the portal a little bit late. But other than that, you just don't have the top level talent that we've seen the past years. If you look at the numbers, they're all down as far as like the actual ratings of each of these transfers. And you do have good players, you know, Branch in here. You do have some very good players, but this past transfer portal overall just wasn't as good as the previous couple years that we've seen. Even the year before, we got guys like Caleb Downs, you got Addison, like you got some first round draft picks, Spencer, like it's some very good players. We go to 23, then you get into the, you know, Travis Hunter, how he wasn't a 5-star transfer. What we doing on 3 recruiting? Other than that, the class kind of drops off, honestly. But yeah, honestly, the class kind of dropped off after Travis Hunter as far as this transfer portal window. But this fall just took a little bit of a step back. Now, with it being the spring portal window, we are on pace, I believe. We're on pace to see the craziest spring transfer portal window we have ever seen. The portal officially opens on Wednesday, the 16th. And we're now seeing a lot of talent, but starting talent enter the portal, man. In the past, a lot of guys entering during the spring were guys that was backups at, you know, either top schools, guys that was backups that thought they should be a starter, wanted to be a starter, don't want to earn a spot, don't want to work hard enough and beat out the guy. They don't want to be number 2, number 3 on the depth chart. Guys like that entering the portal. That's what we've seen in the past. We also seen guys, but this was on the occasion, I'm a starter, but I want a little bit more money. I'm going to enter the portal. I'm a starter at a small school. I want a little bit more money at a bigger school. You've seen a little bit of that. Well, this portal window, I think we're going to see a lot more of that, man, because this is really the last portal window before the whole rev share happens with athletic programs and they're actually paying their players. So the portal, everything's going to look a little bit different after this window right here. So I believe a lot of players are going to jump in the portal and try to make as much money because this is going to be the last chance they possibly have to make as much money as possible. So let's look here, man. We're going to go through a few of these transfer portal players and you're going to see it's just so many starters entering the portal already, and we're only, like I said, the portal don't open until 2 more days. We're a couple of days away from this thing officially open, and a couple of people just throwing their name in the hat. So obviously we have Nico. You know, he's probably going to be the number 1 player in the transfer portal. Will he be a 5-star? I don't know. He might be right under Carson Beck. He might be a 4-star, but he'll be the number 1 player available in the portal for obvious reasons. A lot of people hate on him. He's still a pretty good player. He also, you know, is a former 5-star, and he'll be a high player in the transfer portal. But then you got guys like this. This is a guy that was a starter. Like, he is a starter at South Alabama, man. Last season, this is not a bad year. 2,500 yards, 18 touchdowns, 5 picks last season. He was going to be a starter this upcoming year for South Alabama. Why do he jump in the portal? It's for 2 reasons. Either, 1, he wants more money, or he want a better chance of making the NFL, and I hope it's that reason. So he want to go to a bigger program where he could put on more of a show in front of more fans, and then also have a more impact, maybe compete for a national championship. He's entering the portal. Good player right here. Where do he end up going? And one theme you're going to see here is just it's a lot more players that's actually good, actually starters. In the past, like I said, during the spring window, we usually just did not see that. It was a lot more backups entering the portal. You got a bunch of basketball guys in here as well. So let's come over here to the transfer portal Twitter page, and this will break down a lot of the better players entering the portal, man. You got an NC State receiver with 314 receiving yards, nothing crazy, but a guy that was actually getting playing time going to the portal. Maybe he wanted to get a full-time starting job. You also got another running back with 300 yards, 5 touchdowns last season. Was he a starter? Maybe not, but also production. That's something you usually didn't see during the spring transfer portal window, man. First of all, the hoop stars going crazy, man. A lot of these hoopers entering the portal, they're going crazy. You got Tulane defensive back, starter, 35 tackles, 1 interception, at least played a significant amount of downs, and a potential starter entering the portal, either looking for more money, but this is a player that could go out there and help a program, man. Also, Georgia Tech DB also entering the portal, 22 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, maybe more of a special team player, but he's a guy that actually plays downs. You got Penn State O-lineman, starting left tackle. He started 8 games, so maybe he lost the starting battle throughout this spring, and now in this upcoming year, he might be the backup, might be the second string, whatever. He's entering the portal. He's obviously good enough to start 8 games for Penn State. He's good enough to be on somebody O-line playing, man. You got a lot of guys here entering the portal that actually could bring value to another program during this spring window, and this is not what we always see, man. It's usually a lot of guys like this, that was a former 4-star, but notice they don't put the stats. It's because he don't have any. He don't have any. Not to say he's not a good player or he's a bad player, but he didn't play enough to get stats. Former 4-star, and that's usually what you've seen a lot of guys entering the portal during this spring window. Guys that's just looking for an opportunity to get on the field, because wherever they went, they just haven't gotten the starting job or enough playing time to where they're satisfied. Let's also touch on the Nico situation, because it's so hot and ready right now, man. So earlier it was reports that Nico was going to commit to North Carolina. Someone on one of the website, I think it was 24/7 Sports, they put a crystal ball in, which essentially a crystal ball is they're predicting that he will commit to that school. They put a crystal ball in for him to go to North Carolina. Well, now it's coming out that that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen, man. I thought North Carolina was actually going to be a pretty good fit for him. Get in with Bill Belichick. Now I have no idea where this guy going to go, man. No idea. They say that South Alabama quarterback is actually where looks like is who Bill Belichick actually wants. So makes a lot more sense. A guy that actually put up some pretty good stats, and you're probably not going to have to pay him $4 million. You might only have to pay him 200, 300, 400, maybe 500,000. We don't know the asking price of a quarterback nowadays, but just one thing to note, man. And I think Nico really gonna struggle to find a spot, man. I think he will, man. And this unfortunate part is this Nico situation. I promise you, this is not the first time this thing happened. This thing probably happened 100 times to every single program in the nation. This thing probably happened. A player pretty good on the team, at least good enough to start, goes to the head coach, general manager, whoever. Hey, I'm a pretty good player. I want more money. Actually, I want twice the amount of money that you guys are paying me. The head coach probably told that player no. He enters the portal. And the whole thing is, we never see it. We never see the transaction, man. Nico can't decide to make this thing public. That's why it got to us. And also, Nico is a star player. But I promise you, this situation happened a ton of times. Happened every single year since this whole portal NIL thing started. This one Nico situation just went public because they made it public, man. And it's unfortunate because it seems like a lot of this stuff might not be coming from Nico himself. Might be coming from his agent, if you know what I'm saying. I think one thing, the NCAA, whoever's going to control this thing when it's all said and done, they need to implement some type of system. If you are going to receive money from the collective or NIL money from your school, from whoever, if you're going to receive any type of money, you have to have an agent. And when I say agent, they either had to have some certification, they have to have something to where they're actually an agent. Or maybe whoever that governing body is going to be that's going to make the rules and actually enforce them, they have a whole list of agents that you could choose from, and you have to have an agent to receive NIL money or to receive collective money, man. I feel like we need that because, one, a lot of these kids are getting scammed. And, we've seen that this past year. Guys sitting out mid-year because they didn't get the money they thought they was going to get. They're getting the scam, whether it's from the agent or the school, they're getting scammed. Also, people are getting really bad advice, man. I think about it like this, man. Your family loves you. Your family loves you a lot. Would you want your family making all your money decisions? I don't know. Is your family an expert on negotiating contracts? Probably not. Maybe they are, but probably not, man. You probably just don't want your family making all of the money, the negotiation decisions. You want a professional doing that. Lawyer, an agent, someone that actually gets paid, that actually do this for profession. Do that agent, do that lawyer always wants what's best for you? I would argue maybe not, but your family members, they want what's best, but I think sometimes it get a little bit cloudy, it get a little bit messy, and you don't want that. Somebody needs to step in and enforce some type of rule where every single player receiving NIL money has to have some type of agent to avoid some stuff like this, man. Avoid these, weird interactions where Nico is leaving a team asking for something crazy that probably not many teams in the whole country would agree to. Double? No. Not many programs would agree to pay a player double, in the middle of the year or in the middle of the spring window, man. It's one thing this happened right after the season. They're not doing it at this point. Also, this right here interests me, man. Ole Miss is in the mix for a transfer portal quarterback, man. Obviously, Nico can't transfer in the same conference, so he couldn't go to Ole Miss. But this is interesting. I don't know who their quarterback is right now, what their quarterback situation is looking like, but apparently Lane Kiffin is looking to improve that quarterback situation. But what this could lead to, first of all, the whole Nico thing could almost be like a snowball effect, man. Nico jump in the portal, he go to some school. Well, that school quarterback might also jump in the portal because now I lost my starting job, and it could just snowball. That's if Nico goes to a pretty good school with a pretty good quarterback. It could snowball, man. It could become a whole thing. You kind of see it happens when a coach get fired, while players leave, a whole bunch of things happen. Or a coach get hired from one program, and that coach get pulled away, then this coach get pulled away. So it's kind of like a whole snowball effect that we could potentially see happen in the spring window. And like I said, in the past, we typically did not see it happen in the spring. And shout out to Tennessee to holding this whole thing down, man. Let's see Tennessee baseball coach holding down the football coach, man. Let's watch this, man.
I'm at it. Anybody that's thinking about visiting our place that we're recruiting and you think this is a place you can come and have your hand out and see how much money we can give you, don't waste our time and don't waste your time either.
Hey, we ain't going for that. Let me just sum it up. We ain't going for that. If you here for the bag, we ain't going for that. If you want a crazy amount of money, okay, produce crazy amount, and then we consider giving you the crazy amount of money. But please don't come out here with your hand out first without willing to work, man. Deion Sanders talked a lot about that, man. We talked about that in the last video as well. Go check it out. But some crazy stuff happened in this portal. And also this, man. Is this not nasty work? Is this not insane? Let's listen.
During the playoffs, with this kid included, but not just this kid, they were trying to get more money out of Tennessee and other players on playoff teams. We're trying to get more money out of playoff teams before the playoff games. They were trying to leverage playoff participation because do you know why? You want to know what the explainer was? The explainer was, well, our client, half these folks don't know the I comes before the E in the word, but hey, our client is being paid X amount of money to participate in 12 games, maybe a 13th if you make the conference championship game, but you guys made the playoff. He should make more money. This is the kind of BS that's happening.
How y'all feel about that, man? That just made, that just made me sick to my stomach, man. Like, you ever just get the butterflies? That just made me sick to my stomach, man. Players, you make the playoffs and you trying to renegotiate your contract while you preparing for the playoff game. Oh my goodness! If I'm the head coach, I'm blacking out. I'm blacking out, man. I'm blacking out. That's insane, man. Threatening to sit out the playoff game because I thought we was only gonna play 12 games. What are you talking about, bro? You thought you was we playing extra games. You gotta pay me another $1 million. What? Oh my goodness, that would be so insane, man. If that happened, that he wouldn't even come back to the program, man. That makes no sense. If that's true, it could be false. It could be 100% false. I'm hoping it's false because that's too insane to even think about. Like, what has college football come to? Like, are we no longer playing to win? Are we no longer playing for legacy? Are we just playing for cheese? Are we just playing for money nowadays? If we are, if that's the case, that's unfortunate, man. That is very unfortunate, but that's the world of college football we're in. And I believe I covered this in the last video. We just got to put incentives in the contracts, man. Incentives in the NIL deals, man. If you want to double your salary, okay, make the playoffs. We give you an extra $1 million. You want the last $1 million, you want the last $4 million, whatever, win a national championship. Put some incentives in the NIL, man. You want to double your salary, play 12 games, play every single regular season game, don't get injured, be available, and then also make the playoffs. You know, put incentives in the NIL contracts. You know, I believe that would take it to the next level and maybe avoid some of this craziness, man. Reading this made me sick to my stomach, man. I hope this is not true, but it very well could be. And last thing that just popped up, man, Colorado's retiring Shedeur and Travis Hunter numbers. I feel like a lot of people are going to hate this, man. I feel like a lot of people are going to hate this. I actually like this a lot, you know. First of all, Heisman Trophy winner, Travis Hunter. Like, I feel like that makes a lot of sense. Played 2 years. That's the only thing you could argue. Did he play longer enough with the program? I would say yes. When you walk away with a Heisman Trophy, did they win anything? Not anything of value. They didn't win their conference championship. So, but a Heisman Trophy. And then Shedeur, he broke a lot of records. A lot of records there at Colorado. Also won, I believe, the Golden Arm Award. So, and he's, you know, the coach's son. So it makes sense, man. I feel like a lot of people are going to hate this, but I actually like it, man. I'm not mad at this whatsoever. They have done a lot for the program in the short amount of time they've been there. So, and then also Travis Hunter, he was paying people NIL deals, man. He paid 10 to 15 players NIL deals, collectives, whatever you want to call that. So in my book, he good, man. Unselfish. The opposite of what we're seeing, you know, with a certain someone that's asking for double the amount of money compared to Travis Hunter taking no money from the collective, and he's paying other players for them to have a good roster. That's the type guy. That's the type guy you want on your team, and that's the type guy jersey that should be retired, in my opinion. And last thing I want to touch on, man, one of my issues with this transfer portal here, man. So this is not all said and done, but you see the amount of players enter the transfer portal, and I believe this is all FBS players. I believe they do not include FCS players that entered. So we're pretty much at 3,000. We're going to be at 3,000 by, you know, Wednesday once we hit, you know, the next portal window opening. Only 60% of players committed. What happens to the other 40? They just fall into the void. They don't get a job. They don't get a gig. I wonder, can we see last year and see how many players entered? So last year we had 3,300 enter, 68 committed, you know, another 300 withdrew. So we talking, let's say around 30% of players that entered the portal last year. That's FBS only. Never found a job. Never found a school. They're just in the void. They either at the crib or they just a regular student. And that's the part of the portal we don't talk about, man. The players that just don't find another job, you know, lose the scholarship, and now they just shit out of luck, man. Let's call it what it is. They're out of luck now, and they're not in a great spot. And this is, like I said, only FBS players. Think about all the SCS, Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, all those players. That's not included in this 3,300, man. So many players are just, you know, enter the portal and they never find a home. And I hate that for them, man. I hate that for them. So that's kind of my issue with the transfer portal. We need to put a little bit more rules on it. And they're coming. I think we'll get there at some point. But for now, it's some nasty work. We'll continue to cover the portal, especially Wednesday. We'll probably dive in. There's probably going to be some very big names entering that portal. Probably going to have Nico commit on the first night entering that portal because he's lining up that NIL contract right now, man. I promise you. He's negotiating with someone right now. We just don't know who. But on Wednesday, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes off the board day one and he signs with another team. Other than that, if y'all enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate y'all checking out the video, and we on to the next one.